physical points. We know where they are. In earlier times, these points were used for surgeries. When huge wars used to take place, these points were covered so that because if these points were hit, they could lead to permanent disability or instant death. So through these points, it was said this energy moves. And getting complete voluntary control over this energy was anticipated. This formed the basis of the martial arts, what we call as Kailari Pattu, which goes in Kerala. From that martial arts, this martial was taken to China and it converted into Shaolin. So it is the same. It came from India. So it is nothing different, only the way it is perceived. And then we use some parts of it for our own gain. We use certain type of yoga for flexibility. We use certain type of yoga for feel good factor. That's how modernization, different sockets, because commercially it should also be viable. So people will only take if it is there something for them. Nobody is going to come to a yoga class straight away to transcend. It picks up. So these forms were introduced in that form. Eventually, out of that, some students started understanding the deeper meanings because they might have some trauma in their life. So they might find it, okay, this is helping me out, release that trauma, whatever it is. And that's how it built up into a cult, it built up into a big section, and it started being propagated around the world.
I have another question.
Yeah, sure.
When you said certain breath work can be damaging to the patient or client, or whatever you said, can you elaborate on that? What would be a for instance? Give me an example. You said the thyroid is
For example, yeah, let us say that in certain breath practices you are told to hold the Jalandhar Bandh.
Okay.
It's chin long.
Mm-hmm.
Now if you hold it for a long period of time, and let us say that you're not doing these practices regularly. It is like a lot of time, we are working, and after the work we go to a yoga class. It could be morning, evening, whenever it fits the time. It is not that always you take it in the morning. There are classes where I'll take the evening class or I'll take the night class. Now there might be a time when your gland is working to create the eggs, and that time you put the lock, you're damaging it. Therefore there are certain times and cyclic manner when you should eat and when you should do the practices. But it happens around the world in busy cities that a lot of time, people come from work, they just put the bag, take a shower, do a yoga.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a very simple example which I am giving you. Second example is that sometimes your endometrium is very weak, sometimes it is very thin. We come to know is that a lot of women who have got a thin endometrium, they will always have a pain in their legs. Whenever the menses comes or whenever the eggs breaks, they'll have a tingling pain in their leg. They don't know about it. They feel it is just some muscle weakness or vitamin D weakness. So they go and do yoga, they do stretching, they do fire breath, and it might cause irreversible damage to the uterus. But we don't know because we are not diagnosing. In earlier times, yogis used to study 12 years to understand human body system, and then certain things were given. So in a woman's body, certain things were restricted. We see a lot of women doing the peacock pose, Mayurasana. It can damage your ovaries irreversibly if it is not done with a proper breath. But we see a lot of women doing it. So these are simple things. If they are not done with awareness, if they form a part of a regular practice, there are certain practices like Ekpath Shirsasana, what we do, where we put the leg behind the head. It could damage your pelvis. Or it could damage the nerves. There is a Kuhu Nadi inside, which takes the senses of the egg to the brain. So it is an awareness. There are certain nerves in your body which are only for awareness. They bring about certain emotions in your body. They have got no other function.
Mm-hmm.
So woman who is in primary, if you see in older time, woman used to know when they used to ovulate. They used to know when used to ovulate. We don't know, but we know that we have ovulated. If you ask the women in the older times, why they used to know? Because these nadis were active. They were emotional nadis, what you call. They used to carry these senses. So those get damaged. There are certain asanas, certain breath practices if you do, like in Maricha, a lot of women do this Marichasana. They hold the back and they do this. So it could damage the kidneys if not done properly. A lot of women suffer from these cortisol problems, excess cortisol, what we call as, and then they suffer from panic attacks. So it could damage it. It could give surge to cortisol levels. But then these are cumulative poisons. This won't be apparent very quickly. This will come to your knowledge after 2 months, 3 months. They'll slowly creep into your system. And you won't even know what is happening. Because in today's world, the medical help is very linear. If you get a symptom, you will be treated by that specialist doctor. He won't take an overall view. What is the overall evaluation will only be your blood reports. So you just check your cortisol levels. He'll tell you take this cortisol input or cut out on this, and that is fine. And he'll tell you again do yoga to de-stress. And you'll do yoga. He'll not tell you what yoga. He'll tell you do yoga. So this all things women have to understand that all practices change the physiology of the body. If you feel that certain practices are giving you a feel-good factor, means what they are doing, they are changing the physiology. Nothing is spiritual. For the most part, it is chemical. Like I say, when you are depressed, you take some medications called the serotonin uptake inhibitors, antidepressants. So what you are doing, you are altering certain chemistry in your brain. There are certain secretions which are secreting more, and you are taking a medicine to cut out that secretions, what we call as mood elevators. So same thing when you do yoga, and if you are feeling something good, then certain chemical is changing in your brain. That is the reason you are feeling good. You cannot feel good if certain changes have not occurred. Let us cut out something called as the energy or spiritual level, which is in the consciousness. These words are very heavy to explain. So we'll talk something which is very logical, which happens in the body, which is there. So if you're feeling this, means certain chemical changes are occurring. So it is also liable that if you do it wrong, those wrong chemical changes can also occur in your body. And any chemical change is your state. Like for example, you're very happy, you do the same thing properly. If you're disturbed by something, the same thing you won't do it in a right way, because your mind state has changed. So like you're expecting someone, it is your big day, you're expecting someone to visit your convocation, you're very happy, you're looking, the moment your time comes, that person is not there, suddenly your mind state changes. You're not interested in giving that speech, you're feeling surged, lot of emotions are going into your mind. What might have happened? He doesn't care for me, she doesn't care for me, have I done anything? So what is happening? Certain chemicals are changing into your brain. It is under involuntary control. A moment you were looking at it from a different point of view, a moment you're looking at it from a different point of view. So this, you call it as stress, or you call it as trauma, you call it as past regression, whatever you want to call it. But eventually on logical terms, these are chemical changes. So this definitely affect when you don't do yoga in a proper way, where you don't understand your system, you don't understand what exactly is going through your body, where exactly you come from. When you do this yoga asanas like therapies, I'm stressed out, so do Surya Namaskar. I'm stressed out, so do fire breath. I'm feeling very heavy, so do fire breath. Or during menses, don't do Sarvanga Asana. Or if you want, so these things have got, they are like typical things which have been said out, but actually they, in the longer run, if you're doing it as a part of your practice, you learn it from a particular place and you do it as a part of your practice, it changes a lot of things. So those things you should be aware of. So whenever you take up a practice and you feel good about that practice, it's always advisable to research about it and understand what changes it makes into your body. Only then you go ahead and make it a part of, which is the best time, what is the diet pattern I have to follow, when is the best time to access it. There is a time your heart rate goes naturally down, there is a time your heart rate goes naturally up. Now during that time, if you alter it, then in the long run your heart becomes weak. So you have to understand these patterns. It's all there inside your body, and a yoga teacher or someone who teaches you these practices must be aware. Questions?
Well, I'm interested in what you say, because I tried going to some yoga classes and they always made me sick, so I stopped. I mean, obviously, if I'd known the right thing to do, but whatever was going on in the yoga class was obviously not aligned with what I was doing.
Will all practitioners know that knowledge? Because this is something I've never heard before.
No,
This is very interesting.
I'm not in the right position to comment on it, because I have not learned from any schools. Means I learned from one-to-one from my teacher, and I myself came to know about these things, is whatever I put in front of you after 2-3 years of my training.
Okay.
Means I learned, as I said, that I had gone to my teacher to learn about herbs.
Okay.
When she taught us such practices, because as I say, she was like 80 years old woman still menstruating, but she looked like 30, 35. So that when it struck to me and we documented this, we came to know.
Wow.
But after but it doesn't appear to you that way. Sometimes looks can be misleading also. You learn, but you are not convinced. But when you see in your general practice, because I treat a lot of women in my practice, I used to see and make a link, an experiment. Then used to come to know that, oh, this is true. So it must be that knowledge must be there. But eventually people don't learn it. Now people do 2 months, 3 months training and they come. It is fine to get an overview of you. But when people come to you, because see, I feel 70 to 80% people who go to yoga classes go because they have some problem. Very few people will just go to yoga classes because they want to have a good body, fit body. That kind of yoga classes are completely different. A lot of people go because they have some ailment, they want to, access something deep inside them. And if any yoga teachers they'll come to know, people will say, and they'll say, okay, because of this position, my joint has become fine. So that gives confidence to the yoga teacher also. Oh, this is working. So I should learn more about it. The problem occurs that learning becomes stagnated. So we don't think it from an alternate point of view. We think it from so what will yoga teachers do? They will do this physiotherapy classes or this anatomy classes. So they will start aligning the asanas. Okay, you have got a back pain. So this asana is not good for you. This asana is good for you. So that will never work. That causes the problem. I see a lot of these yoga teachers who come to learn from me, when they ask them, I just give them okay, what will you suggest her? So they tell, I'll suggest her this. So I'll tell her why. Because give me anatomical, because this ulnar nerve or this major, this gluteus maximus or this muscle is like this. So it has to be turned like this. So that will never give you, that never gives a solution, because it's a wrong way to approach it. Yoga is never a physical practice. It has got nothing to do with your muscles.
Right.
It has got to do with voluntary control over your secretions. How can you influence your hormones? Once you know that, you can do your practice only once a month and still gain the benefits. Therefore, it is called as abhyas. You don't have to do it every day. I have never seen any yogi in my life do his practice every day. And I have traveled to corners where it is required. I have never seen it. Rarely they will do it 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or maybe they are talking with you, they will do it. Because they are so aware of the breath, they can change their breath at will. Now I breathe from the right, I breathe from the left. They don't even have to do this. Or they'll understand, okay, now I have to eat. So they'll start their right nostril maybe 1 hour before. So now I have to reduce my heart rate because it is winter. So they'll start their left nostril. So they do it on their own. So that comes to them over a period of time. When certain pain comes to a certain body, they can increase the blood flow there on their will. Now we don't think that every person who is there has to go to that level. Fine, so just for information's sake I'm sharing. But those fundamentals are applicable to each and every person who takes up this. Now that is growing in such a big scale. Now I see a lot of time yoga teachers who come from the other countries to me, they want to learn Ayurveda. So I say, why do you want to learn Ayurveda? Because they say we feel stopped and a teacher has said that you should know about Ayurveda. So they come, then they'll have another concocted thought processes about doshas, about this, and they mix match everything and they create a sequence. This is a Vata sequence, this is a Pitta sequence, this is a Earth sequence, this is a Water sequence. That causes the problem. And that is the reason why women suffer from disorders. For males it is easy because ours is one dimensional. We don't require that much of a hormones for our procreation. We create sperms maybe once a month, twice a month, 1 billion, 2 million, it doesn't matter. But in women, it is a cyclic manner. Every month 200, 300 eggs are going to start maturing. Only one might mature, maybe 2 if you're lucky enough. And it is a big budgeting system on the body. It has to take care of everything. It is not like it is going to happen. It has to take care of your bone mass. It has to take care of. So moment you attain puberty, the body makes the calculation. It says this woman 45 years. So the moment you get your menses like 12 years, they say into 4 is her menopause. Because it calculates how it is going to use these secretions. But in our life, we falter. We do the job, we do this, we do that. So we overuse this. We don't eat on time. We sleep on any time. We eat on any time. We drink. Sometimes we entire day we put our day on caffeine. So we are increasing the heart rate 2 days, 3 days, 4 days. Sometimes we won't drink caffeine. Suddenly we'll feel, oh, I want to detox my body. So we won't do anything for 10, 12 days. again you will start doing the same thing. So that causes more problem. In earlier times when yogis used to do what you call as detox, though detox is not a word for it, do this Shankha Prakshalan or Dhauti, Nauli, whatever they used to do. It was a sign that from now on I am not going to eat anything else. This is, I have resetted my system. From now I am going to follow discipline. But here people do it as a detox. Okay, I have eaten a lot for Christmas pudding, something 31st, so 1 to 6 I'll do this. Again they will start the same thing. So it will cause more problems in the body. Then you will back it up with yoga. You'll eat a burger or something which is not digested. And next day you will go and do intensive yoga because you feel that it is going to digest. So it will go more deeper into your channels. It will cause you more problems. It is going to cause you more pains. Because we have this modern mentality, I will need to burn out, I need to work out, I need to create calories. So this kind of a concocted approach causes the problem. In a woman's body, it can be very dangerous precedent.
Well, for myself, I'm already over the menopause. Is there anything that can be done about it?
Yeah,
Now
basic things, not only for you, for every woman. I say that you have to have you have to make an effort to, as we say that with the sun your body opens and with the sun your body closes. It doesn't matter that in this winter or summer season your sun sets at 9 or 9:30. You have to make a time that if you get up at 5:30, which is the ideal time you get up, after 12 hours your body stops. So you should not be eating any solids after 12 to 13 hours max. So let us say you have your breakfast at 8, your lunch at 1. Your last meal should get over by 6:30. Anywhere in the world you are, it doesn't matter. It should happen. So you should not skip it. Even if you eat junk food at that time, it is fine. But if you say I am eating so-called organic food, it is still going to cause you problem. So that thing you have to maintain. Second thing, you have to do something so that the uterus, which has become heavy, becomes light. So do some exercises, like a lot of time in earlier times people used to roll the mills. Do such kind of exercises which make your uterus very loose. It should vibrate. Once it becomes stagnant, it's going to cause you problem. And third thing, stay away from refined sugar. Stay away from caffeine as much as you can. Only use it when it is extremely cold conditions. Where blood pressure is dropped, is extremely cold conditions. So use these things judiciously. Use salt very judiciously. As we say that, use man-made things. Use salt which is hygroscopic. Don't use free flow salts. Don't use things which have got heavy metals in it. So whatever is natural, whatever you can procure, you use it. And even if you do it like 265 days of your life, there are 365 days in a year. If you give 100 days for yourself, for vacations, enjoying your life, still 70% of the chunk if you do it. And couple it with good breath-based exercises. It could be anything. You're doing it 15 minutes, you're doing alternate nostril, you're doing fire breath, or you're doing simple asanas. It doesn't matter. If you do it on time,
Same day.
same day.
Time.
If you're aware that okay, I'm constipated today, I'm not going to do it. It doesn't matter even if I don't do it for 3 days, but I should get over my constipation. The moment I get up, I should get clean movements. The moment that happens, then I'm going to do my asanas. If that cycle comes, and it is very easy. I have son. If you do it very well, it comes within 10 days, 12 days, 15 days. That's what we do. You have to put in that effort. A lot of people don't put in that effort. They say that, we can't do this. Then it is not going to happen. There are no shortcuts. You take any tea, any herbal tea. There is no magical herb in the world. That you have to follow. So we have seen so many things in my life, but there is nothing that beats discipline. We have seen yogis who can stop their hearts, but they still follow a discipline. It is not that he'll come down and eat anything he likes and he'll go back. No, he will follow a pattern. So once that awareness comes in you, your body is so intelligent, you will come to know, okay, today I have eaten this, so what I have to do next 4 days. You will come to know if it has got out of your system. It's not necessary that you need to get it out of your system. You should be so confident that tomorrow, even if I eat junk, I am able to digest it. It is not going to cause any problem to my system. That is the power yoga gives you. Our thought process is, I have eaten this toxin, I need to go back on there is nothing called as health and unhealth diet in the world. There are people in the world who have been eating raw meat their entire life. They have not died of any diseases. There are people who have been eating only so-called vegetables. They are not free of diseases. So you have to understand this from how life works around the world. So you have the ability to digest it, you won't fall ill. Then you won't get these muscle pains. then you won't get this excess lactic acid secretions when you're doing a lot of yoga, and your muscles won't twitch, which you say, oh, I'm getting stressed out. Because if you do a lot of yoga and you're eating, and then you go to your work and you get these muscle cramps, you feel that you have got stress. It is not, because your muscles are secreting lactic acid. So it's a very simple thing, but we say it is stress. So we think we relate it to some other things in our life, and that causes all the problem. Therefore, I say the most part, all your problems are chemical. They can be easily solved by taking these good foundations. Once these good foundations are taken, and still if you have something, then you can seek help. But as far as my experiences goes, there won't be any problem unless and until you have some problem, genetic problem or some problem which is apparent in your body. So this approach must be done, uncluttering of the mind, understanding that limitations you have in your life, that whatever breath you're taking and throwing out is not coming back again. So that if you understand how much you make someone a part of your illusion, how much you want to interact with someone who is around you and make him a part of your illusion, and how much you are self-aware of what you want to achieve in life. If those basic things are taken, which forms the basis of everything, then most of this awareness comes. And once this awareness comes, then the need comes whether I want to transcend this awareness or not. You cannot start from zero saying I want to transcend the awareness. It will never come. You will always fall back because that base is not created. So that practical application, you cannot cut out the stimulus which is going to come into your life. Not everyone can go and retire into the cave. So there is no point that you are doing meditation for 1 hour and then you are going and shouting your lungs out on someone and again going back and doing meditation. It is of no use. So that understanding must be there, and that is what yoga was all about. Thought process, that this is what we need to transcend. So this is what I would like to say. And then there are certain herbs which you can take, like we say sesame seeds are there. You can boil and take some concoctions, or there are fenugreek seeds which you can eat every day, early morning. If you feel that, I want the tonicity.
Did you say
Fenugreek, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
those are certain things depending upon, under the care of someone who is knowledgeable. Okay, fine. I'm doing this, but I'm feeling this. So he can tell you what is the best option. Certain things which work onto your body, which are a little bit heaty, which causes good digestion. So those things, if you do in your age, it will be more than enough.
Now, as far as things that you eat that cause, inflammatory responses, are there, I know for myself, if I'm allergic to something, a food, it's going to cause an inflammatory response. And basically, the guideline that I use is if I eat it and it does not feel good, if I don't feel good after I eat, then I either ate too much or I ate the wrong thing. That's my guideline. Is that generally a good guideline for most people?
See, first thing is that what you want to eat and what you want to derive the pleasure out of it. A lot of people, what happens is that they are thinking, we don't know this, but it happens very subconsciously, that you are suffering from some chronic inflammatory disorders. Generally in today's world, modern world, all disorders are because of inflammation. There are nothing called as autoimmune disorders or cancers. They are all inflammatory disorders. This inflammation starts occurring from your age when you start getting yourself into these bad habits. Like you eat something, then you drink something over it. You don't sleep, you sleep through the day. So slowly but surely what happens is that your blood starts becoming acidic. And then the inflammation sets in. When it comes to a point where the body cannot hold it more, you start getting the symptoms. You start getting twitching pain, you start getting cramps. And then the body says that no, you are being allergic to something. So leave this. So leave gluten, leave this, leave that, leave that. And then, but then you understand that, whatever you're buying and whatever is slowly but surely you find it readily available in the market. Like suddenly if 3 years back, 5 years back, if we see gluten-free breads, gluten-free milk or whatever is not available, but now it is available. So you understand that this is a marketing gimmick,
Right.
to create a consumer. Actually, there is nothing like this. We have seen people, I've seen people who have come to me and they say, no, I cannot drink, if I drink milk, I get these rashes on the body. Now they are drinking like 3 liters milk a day within 10 days, 12 days. I've never seen. Why? Because body has a way to reverse this inflammation. If you eat on time, sleep on time, if you first understand these symptoms, then eventually I say women have the best defense mechanism, that you can reverse your body in a month or 2 months because you have menstrual cycle. You can reset your hormones. We cannot do that. For example, if I have a problem, I have to be very careful.
Now, what what was your
Bonnie.
name? Bonnie. Bonnie had mentioned postmenopausal. I mean, I'm postmenopausal, so I don't have that cycle. So I'm not sure what you had said about the postmenopausal and what we do have available to us. I mean, we're certainly not turning into men, and we certainly don't have those processes, men's processes in our system. But we don't have that cycle.
See, it is
anymore.
like I have
Not the
seen
same
in
way.
my clinical experience a lot of times that women who have certain disorders like inflammatory disorders and they have achieved menopause, when they go back on this cycle, if you go back on this particular cycle, if you cut down this process, you eat on time, sleep on time, you will be surprised to know that your cycle returns again for 2-3 months and again stops. So it goes through
Right.
functional menopause.
So get back on a
Yeah.
regular cycle that
and it
works for your
stops
body.
and it stops if it is required. So if you have these problems post menopause that your joints are paining, this is happening, it has been happening for a period of time and now it has increased after my menopause. People, if you really introspect, you will come to know. Then if you take in these methods, it can restart again, it can go, because a woman never goes through complete menopause. The eggs will still be there forming even after you, only because your resources have depleted.
Okay, and then, when someone's retired or when their lives have, allow it, they can stay with a cycle sometimes that works, for them, because they can say, hey, I can make my own priorities right now. But if someone's in a working situation that they can't do that, what can you offer to like that person? Like, how do you tell them, like, they have to work certain hours, whatever, and maybe those are the hours that they need to be
See,
sleeping.
I keep it very simple, because for me as a practitioner, or more than a practitioner, I don't work on commercial angles. So I have to tell what is required. As I said, that life has got nothing to do with the emotional and financial problems. I can understand your problem, your body won't. So this is something which is ideal for you. This is the things you have to follow. How you make the compromises, it's depends you. If you feel that your problems are more important than your health, then you will give importance to
Right.
your problems. So then don't complain about your health. Then do
Right.
whatever is necessary. You have pains, take painkillers. But if you feel that, I'm not getting this complete cure, I'm chasing, it is never going to happen.
Right.
So that
okay.
reality, the moment it strikes you, only then you will get out of it. As I said, one life, one body. And the whole point of my thing is that in a human life, whatever comes into your life, dependency should not come.
Yeah.
The moment you become dependent on someone, even if you might have millions of dollars, it is of no use. Because no one
Right.
is going to serve you out of the heart. There are very few people who will serve you out of the heart. They'll either
Exactly.
serve you for your money or they'll serve you because it is forced upon them.
Yeah.
So that
Makes
thing,
sense.
reality, when it strikes you, then I have seen big people do this changes. So that would be my direct and honest answer, that you have to understand in time space quantum where you are. And work, it's still going to vary. Even if you are not there, that work, everybody is expendable. Today if I die, that work is still going to be carried on. But in my life, if I understand that my life is not about, being born, paying bills, working for someone and dying, then I realize that I need to take care of this body through which I am going to get these magnanimous experiences.
Right.
Only through this good body you are going to get this experience. You have got
Right.
millions of dollars in your pocket, but you have diabetes. You cannot enjoy sugar.
Exactly.
What's the use? It's of no
Exactly.
use. So
Yeah.
if you train your body very well, if you understand, then you can create this balance. So in my practice, I tell people take demotion. If you can't adjust to big hours, you take demotion. It is a big risk on my part to tell them, my treatment might work or not work.
Right.
But
Right.
if they believe, they do it. If they do it, they'll find benefits.
Right. It's a choice.
Yeah, so that's what
Exactly.
is my, but maybe
Yeah.
there might be other practitioners who might work in a different way. For me, it doesn't appeal to my senses.
Makes sense.
I didn't quite understand how to lighten up that uterus that's gotten heavy.
So first of all, if the uterus is heavy, then you will come to know, that whenever you eat something, you will bloat. That's the first signs. Whenever after a meal, if you have walked, you will find very difficulty in getting up in the mornings. You just will like to stay in the bed. So those are certain times that you will understand the uterus has become heavy. So the best option first here, as I said, is to eat and sleep on time. And then eventually in post-menopausal state, as I said, that you can have this little bit of fenugreek. You can soak some 1 teaspoon, 2 teaspoons of fenugreek seeds in warm water in the night. Get up in the morning, just chew those seeds and drink the water over it. And of course, you follow it with the right kind of pattern, like getting up on time, sleeping on time, and follow it for a period of what we in Ayurveda says as 1 mandal, 40-45 days. Not a big time, 40-45 days. And see the changes. You will eventually find the changes in your entire body. When the uterus is heavy, it is not that you're going to find some symptoms here. You're going to find symptoms in your entire body. You will be more cranky. You will become more volatile very quickly. If someone says you will understand I do not need to shout in this situation, but you won't be able to help yourself. So all these things will happen. You'll get these phantom pains in the body whenever the weather turns cold or hot. The bones will start becoming heavy. So those are certain symptoms. We'll understand this uterus is not, because it is a organ. That is the reason why after hysterectomy, some women choose to remove their uterus. We see a massive change in their body. If you see the before and after pictures, you will see this all starts sagging. Hands start sagging, this starts sagging, the bone mass goes, and you see their posture will become like this. When they'll shave, all the bone do like this. And they'll go to this Ayurvedic herbal doctors who will give them more and more heaty substances. They'll eat garlic, eat this. The issue is that the main organ of function is gone. So it cannot be replaced, because body doesn't adjust to live without it. You can give hormonal replacement therapies, but we are not in position to control the hormones over a period of time. You are giving what you feel is an optimum dose, but body selects the optimum dose. When I am climbing the mountain, it will select how much cortisol I require. When someone breaks my heart, it will select how much cortisol I require. When I am happy, it will select. Somebody else cannot decide how much I require. So that has been a problem. They say your daily requirement of cortisol is this, iron is this, but who says so? What data are you based upon? What ethnicity have you based upon? What geographical conditions have you based upon? But we in the modern world think in that way. I require this much proteins, this much vitamins, this much calcium. So I'll create a shake which has all these things. I'll drink it. And we have a placebo, what we call as a feel-good factor. That I'm eating green, I'm eating healthy, I'm running. Running, first thing I tell to a lot of women is don't run. The more you run, the more quickly your joints will go. Because human body is not designed to run. You are designed to walk. You can walk fast. If you run fast, and I see a lot of girls doing this treadmill, continuously in the gym. So they are going to suffer from it. The kidneys are going to fail. Cortisol levels are going to go. They are going to get more cranky in their life. They are going to face more, discomfort in their life in terms of relationships. It is going to happen because your kidneys stop functioning. The more you run, the cortisol pumps more. It is not natural.
So they're jarring their internal organs.
It has to work,
stuff,
right? It's not that you're just, because our thought process is so linear. Oh, I have get this belly weight, let me do this. So you're not thinking about anything. You're not thinking about the heart. You're not thinking about the kidneys. You're not thinking about the brain. You're just thinking about calories. 1800, 2000, 3000. I'm done for the day. It's like that.
The body is a miracle, and each person's body is their own miracle that takes care, heals, and
because every organ is related. There is not singular relation. It is not like your kidneys are working, I take it out, repair something and put it. If a kidney fails, the heart and the liver has to compromise.
Yeah.
It is like a unit. There is a pressure in your body, what we call as an intra-abdominal pressure. You see in certain people whose liver cancers or liver failed, they get water in their stomach. You need to aspirate it if you have seen sometime. Why? There is this pressure which is working. There are so many biomechanism, small transmitters which are telling the brain how to adjust it. But if you go with one pointed focus, then I always say that you should guard against cumulative poisons, which happen slowly and you are not understanding. They creep upon you slowly. Direct poisons, you eat something, you are getting vomiting, you got a rash. It is very easy to understand. Cumulative poisons will change the entire structure of your life. You won't even know what hit you. We sometimes say, I'm feeling so bad in this situation. I was never like this. I was a strong person. But why I'm feeling so low in this? We come across a lot of people who say this. This is the reason. Because it is a cumulative poison. Your hormones become so weak over a period of time. And you are towards it because you have a very linear goal in life. It could be a physical goal, or it could be a ambitious goal. It could be anything. And with so many options available in today's world, the more advanced a country, the more options available, because everyone is here to sell his art. So everyone wants to do well. So you will have some Chinese art, you will have some Vietnamese art, Malaysian art, Indian art. So you are exposed to so many healing methods. So we have lost the concept of what exactly you want to achieve. We are just going on feel-good factor, which is fine. I'm not saying that it is wrong. But if you intend to take up something for a long period of time, okay, this is what I align with, I love this, then go deep and do whatever is required by it. There cannot be any system long enough which I understand, which is not complemented with a diet and understanding of the timings. There is no system in the world. You go to Mayan system, you go to Navajo system, you go to South American system. It is always complemented with certain biological things. But we do not take that. We only take that beautiful things. Okay, this is the herb, rosemary, this is the herb which gives me this is the herb which makes me feel good. And there is no definition of good. Okay, this is the herb which keeps my sugar levels normal, or this is the herb which is got lot of cortisols or a lot of this, so it will give me. But there is no quantification. How will you know? It could be a mind game, but it will cause you long-term problems. So that is what I always tell to a lot of students who come to me, that think about this way, and then use simple remedies. Your kitchen is such a beautiful herb, beautiful garden, beautiful medicine cabinet, because it has been time tested over a period of centuries. So many people have used it. So if you use it logically very well, you have so many things to achieve.
So you're saying too many people have too many different types of medicine in their closet, so they're mixing
Because
and
you're
matching.
exposed to so much of information, right?
Yeah.
Naturopathy, Tibetan medicine, Chinese medicine, your local medicine, yoga, aerobic, anaerobic medicines, weightlifting, gym. And if you're not getting instant results, somebody else is to tell you, "Hey, I did this, you do this."
They're not internalizing one
So you're
way.
like just following,
Yeah,
because you're confused, you don't know what's
Right.
happening.
that makes sense.
And then one linear goal will always cause a problem.
I'd like to thank you for talking about women that have lost their uterus. I'm one of those people. And where were you 17 years ago when I needed you? It's good to know though.
When they really push it too.
Ooh, yeah. Yeah.
Great, so